What is up, gorgeous souls? This is Astrology TV with the Matrix Minds Media, and this show is specifically called Breaking the Cage. I am Lady Stars on Fire, or you may know me as the Shaman, because that's what Matt always calls me. This is the week of May 8th through the 14th, right as we are approaching the solar eclipse in Scorpio. So I'm not really directly getting too into the eclipse, but this whole week is building up to the energy of the eclipse and the shifts that it takes. Now, I'm always reminding everybody with the eclipse, this is setting a new 6 months, but we're also reflecting on more or less the last 11 years and all the way back in honesty, the 11 years, and I believe it's the year of 1986 and 1987. So you may be seeing things returning. They need closure, proper, healthy, healing closure, in order to move forward. But before I get into everything that I have on the list for today for us to discuss, I want to first remind you all, excuse me, that we have Mercury retrograde coming up. It comes up on the 10th, and it's taking place in Gemini, but it's going to, what is it? What date do I have written down here? It's going to retrograde back into Taurus on the 22nd. So that's only 12 days with it in retrograde in Gemini before it goes back into Taurus. I'm letting everybody know this stuff because, for one, I have an Etsy shop. And for anybody who's coming from the Matrix Mind Media, when you purchase products, if you put Matrix Minds in the coupon code, you'll get 20% off. And I do have Mercury retrograde little mini kits there, which are selling with, it's essential oil, a spray, and 2 essential oils and a spray. One is my Mercury, which is all about self-love, your inner goddess, and acceptance, because that's the way I see it. It's inner communication for self-love, acceptance, self-assurance. And then I also have Rahu with it in this mini kit. And Rahu is changing your patterns. It's changing your karma. And it comes with the retrograde spray mist, which is clarity. So it's protecting your energy, protecting your mindset as you're going through Mercury retrograde. But I always remind everybody that Mercury retrograde kit or retrograde kit isn't just about Mercury retrograde. It's just about being in retrograde in general. I tell people as an astrologer and as a shaman all the time, just because the planets aren't in retrograde or are, doesn't mean that you're not in retrograde. Meaning you haven't started moving forward. You haven't brought the healing to yourself yet. And those kits are meant to help you in any given time. Not just during retrograde, but they will definitely help during that energy. You can find all of my products at the Etsy shop, LSF Sanctuary LLC. And I have plenty of essential oil kits that are set for cord cutting, retrograde, anything mystical and magical, pretty much. Anything for your spiritual healing growth. But then I have a lot of Oregon products, or argon, however you want to pronounce them, and a whole lot of other things that are all there and all meant to help you on your spiritual growth. So check it out. And with that being said, I also want to let you know, if you are any of the followers who like to check out the home light security readings, I'm going to start recording them tomorrow, maybe even this evening. So you'll be able to start catching any and all zodiac signs. And when you do check out the home light security readings, you can find them here on Facebook on my pages, not on the Matrix Minds, but on my pages. You can also find it on my YouTube channel. And all of that information is below. I'm also open for readings for astrological or shamanic counsel and so forth. So you can find all that information below if you are interested in checking in with me, because when I do these readings, I'm doing them from a universal standpoint. I can only get so much in detail when I'm looking at it from a universal standpoint, because I have to deal with it for everyone. And no matter where it is on your chart, that energy is still happening, but it will be happening with a little bit of an extra twist for you individually because it's talking to your personal chart of when you were born. I can only give you what the universal energy is at this moment when we're doing it this way. One on one, I can get much deeper and go into much more explanation. And when I do these astrological readings and so forth, I don't just send you like a memo. I usually sit down with you all for up to like 2, sometimes even 3 hours when I go over it so that it's very explicit and in detail so you can understand. Now, with that being said, I like to start out with the blueprint first, and that's just the body. That's the human body and how it is that we are responding to these energies that are taking place. And then I get into the actual astrology. And you have Jupiter, which is going to be leaving Pisces on the 10th and coming into Aries. So I'm going to start with Aries and I'm going to work my way all the way through. Because Aries energy is definitely getting kind of a lot going on in here. And on the 10th, like I said, Jupiter is moving in. Jupiter is abundance and manifestation. It's also higher knowledge, but it's coming into literally the top of the brain. It's the top of the brain, which kind of has access to all different parts of the brain and how the brain's activity works. Okay, so this is going to be bringing in abundance, knowledge, thinking, ideas, quick wanting to make changes, but it's also going to bring in entitlement. It's also going to bring in, I want to be heard, and I want to be heard, and I want you to hear what I've got to say, and these are my opinions and what I think, and how I'm going to do these things. But they're also quick with Aries energy to be like, well, if it didn't work out so easily, then maybe I'll give up, and that's not what you want to do. Like I said, you're leaving Jupiter energy. Jupiter is leaving Pisces energy, which on a universal level is in the feet. However, it's also that 12th house energy of our grief, sorrow, shame, blame, insecurities. And it's leaving the areas that have been unhealed, that the new cycles aren't completely coming into starting to begin, and going into a brand new cycle and reflecting on where it's not working. Because Jupiter, I believe in October, is going to move back into Pisces again. So we're bringing a lot of what Spirit just said, switchboards, like the lights, it's going to be lighting up, like the switchboards are going to be lighting up. A lot of new ideas and a lot of new things are going to be coming forward. So the switchboards are going to be lighting up, but what are you going to do with it? And you have Venus, which is literally going to be traveling over. That's Jupiter is going to be for the whole up until October, but it's going to continue to move. That's just the beginning of Jupiter. Venus this week is going to be moving more or less over the ears and the eyes. And I'm saying it because I want you to understand it's more than just the astrological energy, of how we see things. It affects our human body. And Venus is your sensitivity. Venus is not just love. I really hate astrologers when they call Venus love, because, she has the ability to bring love, coerce love, to discover and kind of pull that patterning out. But I look at Venus more like the schoolgirl who, when it comes to love, kind of like the schoolgirl love, like, ooh, I have a crush, but to do the work and to stick around and really last, that's why it's a crush. Venus gives you the sensitivity. She tells you what's good for you and what's not, where it works for you, where it doesn't. I tell people all the time, when you stick your hand in an oven cooking cookies 365 degrees without an oven mitt, you burn your hand. That's Venus telling you, don't do this to me. Venus tells you when it hurts you and why it hurt you, but she also tells you what you love and what you want more of. She is your sensitivities, but she's emotionally and physically speaking to you. Now, you're putting her in your ears and your eyes, so this is saying pay attention to what you're paying attention to. If your eyes are hurting and the head is hurting, are you observing more negative than you are positive? Are you hearing more negative than you are positive? Or is your vibration, whether you mean for it to be or not, more set at a lower vibrational three-dimensional level where the lower vibration is starting to actually make the ears and the eyes hurt? The worry, the anxiety, because this is Venus. This is a form of how Venus is telling you how you're treating yourself, well or not. And see, Spirit, it was funny because I wasn't sure how exactly Spirit wanted me to go into this. Spirit was reminding us love is not what a lot of people call or think love is. They have a phantom idea of what love is. Love is badass, okay? And what I mean by that is a lot of people get that, like hippy dippy, woo, love idea. And, like everything is, coming up roses and it's all beautiful. No, love gets down and dirty. Love is the one that gives you the power to work through the power and the strength to work through the pain and come through the other side. Spirit just reminded me like the Shawshank Redemption. The story, the Shawshank Redemption. He had to crawl through a river of shit to come clean on the other side. Love, true love, unconditional love. It is the strongest thing because it has to endure so much of the ugly crap and everything that we tell ourselves and still come out reminding you how it's still perfect. No matter how much crap we put ourselves through, how much lies we tell ourselves, how much denial we put ourselves through, how much shame, blame we tell ourselves, we hide in this, our skeletons in the closet, everything that we put ourselves through that tells us that we don't deserve it. Love is right there to go, no, ding dong. You always have deserved it. It's just, it was you who didn't believe it. This energy right now has a lot to do with taking the chance, taking the leap of faith. But it's not just believing in yourself. It is, but it's truly, deeply about giving yourself the love and the respect you deserve, giving yourself the break that you deserve, not putting up with the shit you don't anymore, and still having the power and the energy and the security to literally drag you through the trenches out to the other side. Love is nothing that's foo-foo. Love is everything that fear is not. And fear sprouts mainly from our anger and our denial and everything else that sprues, that just goes down that negative wormhole. Okay, back to where I was on the blueprint because that's where Spirit just sent me. Okay, Venus is the ears and the eyes. The ears, remember, you're having a lot of flu-like symptoms come up or hay fever symptoms coming up. A lot of this has to do with spiritual energy. You have Jupiter coming into the head, into the brain, into your thinking patterns, into your solving patterns, into your just patterns of how the brain works in general. Not just the front lobe, but all lobes. Okay? You have the ears and the eyes that are being viewed by Venus and its sensitivity. Then you have Chiron, which is the frontal lobe and making the decisions. Chiron's the wounded healer. As we move into Taurus, we're getting into more or less, they're not all together, but it's the optical, I always say this wrong, I can never say it right, that bone back here, which is for that lobe that I'm always speaking of. These energies are crossing over that zeal point. The mouth of God chakra, the zeal point chakra, which is the chakra that keeps you protected when you're asleep. However, when you're awake, it's open to all that negativity. It's open to all of that psychic attack because it's up to you to protect yourself now. And protecting it, you have the sun, you have Uranus, you have the North Node. In one form or another, they're all kind of crossing this week in that. So we're talking about it also affecting your ears, nose, and throat. This is still about speaking with authority, listening. What are we listening to? Are we speaking up with authority? You know, are we listening to the third eye? Are we listening to, you know, the brain overtalk the heart? You've got all of that energy coming in, plus the sinuses are kicking up with the Taurus energy, and the lymph nodes in the neck are kicking up. That's the whole vocal cords, the throat again. Then as we move into Gemini, this is where Mercury is about to go retrograde, and it's retrograding on the preliminary lobes. You have Ceres and Lilith, which are coming back in, still going over the rib cage, and this is protecting the heart itself. So like I said, we're dealing with a lot of this energy of what is happening inside of our body as we are going through these chakras. We're bringing healing to these chakras. We're acknowledging where they're blocked and where we're not working on, where we've been avoiding a lot of this isn't just this life. I'm sorry, but I'm being told a lot of this is ancestral, you know, been sent down ancestral. We're healing ancestral energies, not just your timeline, but timelines, several, the family's timelines. And we're looking at a lot of where the baggage has started to build. And really what it comes down to is, will you be the one who breaks the chain? This is, and I said this a couple weeks right before we entered the first eclipse, that Spirit was saying, this is breaking the chain. We're breaking the chain. Are you going to be the one who puts it to the runes and it's part of the runes? It's not here anymore. You will rise above and start a new ancestral chain? Or are you still in denial? Now, you do have a lot of energy going on with Saturn as well. I mean, you still have Capricorn in your knees, and it's been acting up because Pluto has been talking to a lot of energies. So the knees have been having issues. The legs for Saturn, the lower legs, especially around the ankles and stuff, have been having more issues. And the feet, because of the energies that are going on in Pisces. I'm not getting into like this toe or that toe. But, I mean, I'm giving you the ideas here. And, you know, typically, like when you slip and fall, you trip, your knee gives out. This all has to do with psychological energies that's going on in the heart, the soul, the chakras, and how that lower vibration is working against you. Usually it's trying to tell you to slow down, that when the knee gives out or the ankle twists. These are ideas of where you're not necessarily doing what you're supposed to be doing. You should slow down and try to reevaluate. Now, as I get into the astrology itself, Spirit is saying this week has a lot. I mean, they just interrupted me. Spirit is saying this week that this has a lot to do with the freedom to be able to use your expression, to be able to trust in yourself and to express yourself, your emotional and creative self-expression of your truth. And a lot of this has to do with your fifth house, but this has to do with your inner child as well. This has to do with allowing yourself to be seen and heard by yourself. I mean, viewing for yourself what it is that you stand for, what it is you want your expression to be. Because I always say, is your expression, this is why I say it with the fifth house, because the expression isn't just, an actor needs to be able to practice his craft. A singer needs to be able to practice their craft. You know, a sports person needs to go out and practice, you know, their sports. So this is, what is it that makes you tick? What is it that makes you enjoy life? Makes you want to still be here on this planet taking part? What is it that you enjoy expressing and being a part of? And are you getting time for that? Are you getting time to truly, either channel it, be a part of it, create it, bring it to the world, and show your uniqueness in it? Because if, for one, you're letting not just yourself down, but the world down, because we don't know what glorious thing you were meant to do. And if you don't do it, then we'll never discover or know it. Nor will you, or your own power. So this is giving yourself the time, the acceptance, the approval to enjoy you and to be part of what it is you were meant to be. Express who you are, even if it's falling on your face to learn what you're not. It's glorious that way, but it's funky that way. I can't explain it any other way. They say that this is how you find out your wisdom. Anyway, and before I go any further, happy Mother's Day to everybody out there. I'm sorry, I just get babbling. So happy Mother's Day to everybody who was listening or seeing the video later on, vice versa. Now, you have this week, the moon is going to be going over Leo, through the sign of Leo, into Virgo and Libra. Then as we come into the end of the week, it goes into Scorpio as we get closer to that eclipse on Sunday and Monday, because the eclipse is actually on Monday. Now, Leo, you still have another day of. Then we get into Virgo. Now, Leo is very dramatic energies. It's very big, compassionate, loving, but it's also dramatic and kind of like, look at me, pay attention to me. And it doesn't always mean that you're self-centered. It just means that the energy is wanting to be seen, wanting to be acknowledged, it's the pride coming from it, or want to be known for what we do, for what we think, what we feel. And we want it to be acknowledged, to be seen. This is part of what is going on as we come through the rest of this day and tomorrow and half of the next day. Then as we go into Virgo, we get a little bit more anal retentive, a little bit more particular in general. And the thing is, Virgo is no longer what Virgo used to be. It used to be what, I used to call it the troubleshooter. I used to call it the lie detector. It's very detail oriented. But the thing is, Regulus has now moved into Virgo. And even though it's still very much in the very beginning, its energy is there, which is now changing it. So if the detail oriented, the anal retentive, pick it apart, diet, health, routines of our life don't support us soulfully because of Regulus now being in here, then it's not got the same energy, the same jam, the same, feeling that it used to have. And this is because we're growing. This is saying, your daily routines, your daily opportunities, your daily situations that you're in, your health, your diet, your hygiene, your activities, if they don't support the soul, are they really worth it anymore? So this is saying we're really starting to take a bigger idea of how we're looking at things. And these energies are questioning everybody this week. This moon is definitely, as the moon is building into Scorpio, it is just having a fit with all of the signs. But I'm giving you, because I don't usually go over the moon energy, but I'm giving you little pieces of it before I get into the rest of the astrology. Then it's going to move into Libra, which is trying to make balance. I give Libras a hard time so much because I've loved so many Libras. And you got to understand, especially when the moon is in Libra energy, it has a little bit of that sexual energy, a little bit of that, that coming together. Harmony is what it is, what it seeks. However, usually it's finding anything but that. And the reason I say that is because, and I have to remind Libras of this all the time, is Libra is an energy. It's not a person. You are not the judgment. You are not the scales. You have to pick a side. And then from there, work out the harmony and the balance and see where it's not working. Because usually when Libra is speaking to us on a universal chart, or any chart for that matter, it's trying to show where the harmony and balance is not at. And that's typically your 7th house of your relationships. Where is it that they're not being nurtured properly? Where are they being neglected? Where are they not growing? And is it possible for there to be growth or not? Not create a false balance just to make it get by, because that will just be creating the same cycle that you're already trying to get out of. And then it goes into Scorpio. Now, you have some very good opportunities this week. Before I start getting into all of the little combinations, you have that 12th house on a universal scale, which is our grief, our sorrow, shame, blame, our insecurities, our unconscious mind. I'm trying to change my page here in case there's something that pops up at me. It is, our self-undoing, our self-deception. That 12th house still has Mars in it, still has Neptune in it. Neptune still is the ruler of it. And so it's creating not very assertively. Mars is not the most assertive here in Pisces. It's just not very comfortable. It's like sitting in a board meeting. It's like, yeah, whatever. I know this is what I need to do, but I'll do it later. I can't get to it now. And Neptune's giving you the magic of what you can create or what you can continue to create, where you can change and begin something new, or what you can keep within our self-deception, our self-denial, our grief, our sorrow, shame, our unconscious energies of where we continue to create the same pattern. Now, this energy is getting along gloriously with the 2nd house. And the 2nd house has the sun in it, has Uranus in it, and the North Node. Everything you need to know in order to move forward. Illuminating your self-worth, self-value, self-esteem, or your lack of it. Illuminating your independence, your individuality, your uniqueness, your freedom, or your lack of it, which is also what creates your manifestation. Because the way you feel about yourself, you have to understand this is all vibrational. So if you are vibrationally feeling secure and in your power, it's easier for you to manifest more power. When you are insecure and you're not very comfortable with yourself, you don't feel strongly independent about making decisions on your own, then it's easier for you to manifest more of why you'll stay exactly that way. I know that's not what people want to hear, but you have to understand vibration matches vibration. It's the law of attraction. So if you want to manifest more, this is telling you, learn from your 12th house and get your power back, pull it back into you, realize how glorious you are, how valuable you are. Give yourself the respect you deserve, and do not take second best. Do not take it. Do not allow, like what do they say in baseball terms? First, you're 3 strikes, you're out. No. 1 strike, we're done. Well, continue to give what you already know. People show you who they are, especially now. So will you continue to take what you already see and then want to try to tell yourself that it's something other than what it is? This energy from that 2nd house and that 12th house, it's got sextiles all over. There is opportunities here to, start something new, a new healing, a new self-worth, a new self-value, a new self-esteem, a new liberation, a new manifestation, a new beginning in understanding yourself, your identity, and then being able to rise into you know, not just a vibration, but this it also rules the second house. The second house is also your financial. When you feel good, it's easier to make more money. When you feel like you look like crap, and you think you look like crap, and you think your stuff is crap, then it might be crap, because that's the energy you're putting out. So the opportunities are here if you can believe in yourself, if you can feel it, if you can breathe it into life. The opportunities are here for so many glorious things to happen. The problem with sextiles is you feel really good about it, and then you go nowhere, because you're feeling like you're on top of the hill, on top of the mountain, and like you're not going to get knocked down. But those sextiles are not going to last. So there's the time to take the action. Plus, that energy is sextiling Capricorn, which is in that 10th house, bringing it out into society, bringing it out into authority that's coming from you, not coming from the other way. This is giving yourself a brand new beginning, a death to the old and a birth to the new, lining up perfectly with the energies that are going to be coming in with this Scorpio eclipse and full moon. So it's a perfect time if you can believe in yourself and you can stick to it, and you can just keep, like I said, pulling yourself through the trenches here, believing and putting forth that energy. And sometimes, yes, it's fake it to make it. Sometimes you can't lie to the vibrational frequency, but if you tell yourself it enough, you might believe it. So in some form, fake it to make it does work, and in another one, it doesn't. It all depends on if you're actually starting to believe what you tell yourself. Because your soul knows when you're talking shit to yourself, whether it's good in a positive way or not. So if you're telling yourself the things that are going to help lift your spirits and get you there, then use that. Use that, baby. Okay. Because you also have, now I'm going to start looking at the South Node. Because this is where you're going to, the 8th house, Scorpio, is where you're going to see that eclipse come in. And the South Node is the 8th house. So it's all about transformational energy. It's the death card in one form. It's letting go of the dead and beginning something new. And it's also reproductive energy. It's also fertility. It's also sexual energy. It's also rules, walls, boundaries. And it's getting along great with Neptune, which is in that 12th house, which means you have the magic for the new beginning if you believe in yourself. But again, free will has its way. If you don't, well, then it will dupe you all over again, because Neptune doesn't care if it's positive or negative. Neptune is just going to create the magic, and it's in the 12th house. So are you giving it energies of self-deception? Are you feeding it energies of self-undoing? Talking yourself down into not believing, your grief, sorrow, shame, blame, holding on to your comfort zone of not actually moving forward? Or are you giving it the transformational energy to get yourself out of that 12th house and start a whole new cycle and to close the door behind you? It's getting along wonderfully, but each person takes it individually in their own ways, because sometimes in order for you to move forward, you do have to get knocked down to see where you're not moving forward in order to get on the right track. Now, you have very unpredictable energy going on with that South Node and Venus and Chiron. Spirit is pointing it out to me. It is incredibly unpredictable, and this is because this is a week of sensitivity. Venus, like I said in the beginning, she's your emotional and your physical sensitivity. I'll share with everybody. I have a lot going on with me personally, and one of my Venus energies that have been acting up is ever since I took a major life change when this year began. And I quit my job and I started going full-time with my business and everything else. I take care of my elderly mother, which does put a lot of stress on me, but I'm also a shaman, I'm magical, and I know this. And I have to remind myself of this. But deep down, the physical body knows where I'm still having problems. And I have psoriasis as a normal human being, which means there is an immune deficiency here. And the reason I'm explaining this to you is because since the beginning of this year, I've also had hives, chronic hives, and they keep telling me it's simply because that's my stress. And I know, I've been tested. It's the way my body is getting rid of my toxic energy that I won't admit to, that I'm having problems dealing with. This is why I'm saying your Venus is so incredibly powerful. Your Venus is your emotional sense, as well as your physical sense. What the mind does to you emotionally, and versus how it eventually works through the body in the physical sense. I'm explaining this way because Spirit is saying this is going to be a high, sensitive, intense week as we approach this eclipse. And Venus and Chiron are in Aries, are in a brand new beginning. That's what the Aries sign is. It's fire loaded. I got a bright idea. Let's do this. Wait a minute. That's not happening as quick as I want, so I'm ready to give up and start something new. No. And it's very unpredictably getting along with that south node of making the transformation. So this is saying if you stick with it, if you believe in yourself, yes, the sensitivity may come off hard, but the sensitivity is also telling you what is working for you, what is not. Whether it's because it's emotionally, mentally, or physically speaking to you, it will start showing you what direction you are actually vibrating in, where you are taking this energy. Are you making the transformational change in your relationships? And remember, guys, relationships are not just, your loved ones or your spouse, your girlfriend, your boyfriend. It's your work friends, your parents, your children. It's everything you care about, you have a relationship with. When you have no money, you know about your relationship with a lack of money. When you have no home, no roof over your head, you know about your relationship with your home. When you have no car, no vehicle, you know about that relationship. So it's not just a relationship with your loved ones. It's a relationship of value of what it is to you. And where is the sensitivity and the new beginning and the taking the chance and believing in yourself to come into a new healthy direction working for you? And where are you psyching yourself out? Chiron's the wounded healer here. Venus is that sensitivity, telling you when it's good for you and when it's bad for you. She will speak to you, just like she speaks to me by giving me hives every time I get stressed out a little bit more, to remind me to get my butt back in cartoon land and stop doing this to myself. We all have our own ways. You just have to learn how to understand your own body and your own psychic energy. Now, you also have a T-square. T-squares are not necessarily a bad thing because I'm having a bunch of combos coming up. And these combos are not what is normally seen as aspects in astrology because they're not what most people view as aspects. But Spirit tells me it's a very highly important and potent energy. So that's why I give it to you. Now, the T-square is often kind of frowned upon, is looked at as negative, but it's not that it's negative, it's just it's challenging. It's not going to be handed to you. This is definitely something you have to work for. And the T-square is that south node in the 8th house, where we're going to be looking at this eclipse coming in. It's speaking to the sun and the north node in the 2nd house, coming into your independence, your individuality, coming into, illuminating the truth of your character, who you are, your vibration, And then Saturn, which is at 11th house. This is stating, remember, the 11th house is the outer world. It's often viewed as your groups, your memberships, or your work friends. But the 11th house is also the people that are either there that will help you discover who you are or keep you from discovering who you are. They're the ones that will support you coming into your goals, your dreams, your ambitions, and helping to see you bring it into fruition. Or they really don't give a damn and they really only care about themselves and will want to take it more away from giving you the time to explore that. Some people come and go. It's that simple. You're talking about the transformational change. In a form, it's the lotus flower, guys. You're going to stay in the muddy, murky water where it hasn't been able to break through the frothy meadowland and start to bloom into the beautiful, start stretching for the sky and showing its beautiful evolution of growth that we use when we think of our psychic energy. We use the lotus flower. Or are you going to still be in the muddy, murky water and you're nowhere near blooming? This is part of what we're looking at. Are we in the right alliances with the group that support? Remember, this is also going with your manifestation, with your finances, because it's the second house. It's your money house, but it's also your law of attraction house. It's your manifestation house that works off of your self-worth, self-value, self-esteem, or lack of it. And what are you attracting? What alliances are you attracting? Are they helping you? Are they showing you that you're in the right vibration or that you need to rise? Are they showing you where they are able to still be part of your life? They're not going to do the job for you. It's your job to bring your goals, dreams, and ambitions into fruition. But is it a possibility for the transformation to take place? Or will it stay in the muddy, murky water and the lotus flower will never bloom? This is ultimately what you're kind of seeing this week. It's a challenging for making you have to step away from areas that's in your comfort zone that are no longer supporting your growth, is really what it's coming down to. Now, we have another combo, which Spirit is saying is like very highly important this week. Because, yeah, they're highlighting it for me in very high sensitivity. And it is Saturn and Vista. And I haven't spoken of Vista, but Saturn is your rules, your walls, your boundaries in that 11th house where we were just talking about. But Vista is the keys. Vista holds the keys to unlocking the doors. Long story short. And so are you opening the doors through the alliances that you've made or not? It is speaking with Venus and Chiron, which is in that first house, taking the leap of faith, testing the waters, trusting your gut feeling, trusting your sensitivity, but knowing when the sensitivity is telling you the difference. A lot of people misunderstand that gut feeling. A lot of people get that gut feeling confused with, I can't do it, when the fact is, it's not that you can't, but that, oh, this is something new. And I don't know what that'll be. So that's actually fear. And there's nothing to fear but fear itself. So are you fearing the change because it's something new? It's taking you in a direction that you're a little bit unsure of and you need to have control of, which ultimately is going to keep you from moving forward? Or is it the gut feeling going, whoa, no, this is very, very bad. You need to understand this. This is Venus's sensitivities speaking to you in your very core energy, your character. The first house of Aries, trying to take a chance on gambling on yourself, going back to Saturn and the alliances, the keys that help you build your goals, dreams, and ambitions by being yourself and acknowledging just who your character is. And then, are you allianced with the right vibrational frequency? And then that energy, oh my God, guys, that energy is not getting along with Mercury, which is in Gemini, your twins, Jekyll and Hyde. And I am given Jekyll and Hyde as the twins, not necessarily as in good and evil, but as in logical versus emotional. So are you all into your emotions, but logically not thinking straight? Or are you only thinking, but there's no emotion behind it? So this is saying you're coming into Mercury retrograde, where we start looking at the darker aspects. We're looking at it in the third house of the communication with yourself as well as with others. Are you in your head too much? All right. Are you in your head too much? And then what is this going to do with the sensitivity of the alignment of your personal character, where you're going to take your strength, your growth, and what are you going to do with it in the outer world towards your goals, dreams, and ambitions? Or will you cave in? Like I said, it's a very powerful week, but this is not for the weak-hearted. This is, pull yourself through the trenches, believe in yourself, and pull that light from inside of you out. That's why they said in the beginning, love is nothing that's, love is not some hippy dippy trippy shit. Love is not something that that you can't look at as it's the most powerful thing, but it's also, this is why I say to people all the time, I'm like, when you think of the idea of angels, I'm like, people want to see the angels as, these beautiful things playing harps. No. Your guides, your ancestors, your spirit, your own spirit. There's so much more to you than you know. There's so much more fierceness that also comes with that love. And it is a double-ended sword. There is light burning at both ends, because ultimately it's one. So this is saying love is something full of fierce energy, fierce, beautiful power. It's the violet flame. So are you just cut in the idea of what we like to call love, or are you actually enduring the violet flame? Now, you also have one more combo, and then you have a yod, which takes place on the 10th as well. I'll go over, and then that's pretty much going to be it. You have Neptune in that 12th house, which is not getting along with Lilith, but they're both directly at the Sun, Uranus, and North Node. Again, coming down to your independence, your individuality, your uniqueness, your freedom. Coming down to the violet flame of coming into you. It's Lilith. I can't say enough. Lilith in the 4th house is all about asking you, will this be submission or will this be soul? It's that simple. Will you fall to submission or will you come back to soulfulness and reclaim it? Then you have that Neptune energy of the magic. The magic that only you can breathe into you. Like I said, it's not going to be easy this week because it's going to be easy to want to give up. But if you keep breathing that into yourself, the flame, ultimately it's going to reflect back. Now on the 10th, before we have that eclipse that's coming up, remember on the 10th, Jupiter moves into Aries. You also have Mercury, which is going retrograde, but you also have a yod. And a yod is the hand of God, is what it's considered. In Hebrew, the yod is actually spoken as, it's the smallest letter of the alphabet, but it's the most mightiest. And I wanted to come back and give you that because I think that it's definitely something to pay attention to on the same day as all this other energy is taking its shift. The yod is pointing directly to Venus. Wherever it is pointing is the highest point of its sensitivity. It is pointing to Venus in Aries. It is also coming from the South Node, and it's coming from the Moon in Virgo. So this is saying right off the bat, if it is not supporting not just your character, your soulfulness, the Virgo energy is the anal retentive energy. It is that 6th house. It is your daily task, your daily mundane. And I can't say enough. There's nothing mundane about the mundane. The only reason we see it as mundane is because we overlook it. We do it so naturally, so often. So this is saying your daily activity. Something on this day, on the 10th, your emotional sense is going to strike a chord with knowing exactly who you are. And are you reflecting who you vibrationally want to be? And are you still walking in the steps that you should be? Or is it going to be showing you an altered path into getting where you need to be getting? Because it's pointing directly at your Venus, your sensitivity in Aries, in the cycle of the new beginning, in the 1st house of your character. And then it's coming, like I said, from that 8th house. It's like a warning of what's going to happen if you're not on board when this eclipse hits. I love you. I will see you guys next week. And like I said, check back for the home light security readings. You can find them on my pages or my YouTube. All the information is down below. And if you're interested in any of my products, it's LSF Sanctuary LLC on Etsy, and use the coupon code Matrix Minds. Love you guys. Bye.